They said it was just fiction, but a 61-year-old mycologist from Kolkata, India, just became the first human to be infected by a disease caused by plant fungus. This should be impossible. How did a plant pathogen cross over to infect humans? We've been warned about this. Where was that again? How about HBO's Last of Us? Could this be a result of global warming? Follow us as we investigate the possibility of humans being controlled by fungal infections. The mycologist from India had been suffering from anorexia, hoarseness of voice, cough, recurrent pharyngitis, weariness, and difficulties swallowing for 3 months, with fever, a sore throat, odonophagia, and swelling in his neck down to the hyoid bone. It was later discovered that this was because he had a paratracheal abscess in his neck. The 61-year-old man had no medical history of trauma, diabetes, HIV infection, renal disease, or any other chronic illness, and the results from the chest X-ray were normal. According to physicians writing in the journal Medical Mycology case reports, the plant mycologist spent a lot of time conducting research using decomposing matter, mushrooms, and various plant fungi. When a sample of the drained neck pus was taken to the WHO Collaborating Centre for Reference and Research on Fungi of Medical Importance in India, that was when they knew what the killer was: Chondrosterium purpureum. The plant fungal pathogen causes the fungus disease known as silver leaf on trees. The disease progresses and often ends in death. The common name is derived from the leaves on the infected branches gradually turning silver. Airborne spores that settle on recently exposed sapwood are what cause it to spread. It targets members of the rose family, but cannot affect humans. So what happened? According to Matthew Casson, a mycologist and associate professor at West Virginia University, it takes millions of years of evolutionary history for these specialized connections, transfer of infections from plants to humans, to evolve. Therefore, it becomes highly improbable that anything so specialized could jump from a plant to humans. But, for example, the fungus Cordyceps unilateralis, commonly known as zombie ant fungus, is an insect pathogenic fungus that infects ants and uses their bodies to spread the spores for it. Ants are forced to ascend to a high perch by the zombie ant fungus Cordyceps. They then close their mandibles and perform a death grip on the thick stems or underside veins of leaves. Around 4 to 10 days after infection, they pass away. Upon death, the fungus emerges from their corpse, typically from the head. Once the fruiting body of the fungus appears, it releases spores down upon the unsuspecting colony below. This release of spores eventually creates a graveyard of ants, anywhere from 20 to 30 meters in size. The epidemic in The Last of Us is implied to have started with a batch of flour infected by Cordyceps. Is that even possible? Can tainted food cause a pandemic? The opening scene shows a discussion on a talk show between a scientist and a doctor. The epidemic begins from a batch of infected flour. A lot of grains serve as an excellent substrate for fungus growth. Are you familiar with the fungus known as ergot? Humans who consume this fungus that infects rye grain have reported experiencing hallucinations as a result. Some people believe that a significant outbreak of this fungus led to the Salem witch trials. In truth, everyone was a witch, since people were delirious and had hallucinations. But according to proven data, only a small number of the millions of fungi that exist can infect humans and other animals. Those fungal species must be able to grow at human body temperature to become a human pathogen or commensal flora. According to Professor Casson, The Last of Us is a great show, but like any excellent science fiction, there is a lot more fiction than science. Since he has dedicated decades of his life to studying these literal, mind-blowing organisms, he confirms that the show is based on a real-life fungus, Cordyceps. The notion that this form of fungus can spread to humans is where science and fiction diverge. Or, so we thought. Doctors have indicated that several zoonotic viral and bacterial diseases, as well as novel fungal infections, may have emerged due to global warming, ecological disruption, worldwide travel and commerce, and unplanned urbanization. Because we find fungi on the bread we've ignored for too long, or food we did not put in the fridge or even roadkill, we generally link fungi with decay and death. Yes, They are constantly destroying substrates, but you should know that fungi are important in the cycle of life. It's easy to demonize such crucial organisms, but they are essential nonetheless. You know, they're composting waste in your yard. We therefore find them kind of repulsive when we see them, but they pull off remarkable feats. Professor Casson wouldn't mind if it takes a Hollywood hook to get people talking about fungus. Numerous medical professionals have been working on fungi-related pathogens, but their efforts are vastly underfunded when compared to those related to bacteria or viruses. Though the COVID epidemic is still ongoing, viruses are now the main concern. But it turns out that a number of these COVID survivors are more vulnerable to lung fungal infections because the virus has damaged them, making them more vulnerable to a fungal infection. Professor Casson says this is comparable to what occurred with HIV/AIDS in the 1980s. Many of those individuals, in fact, ultimately succumbed to fungus infections. But we have just come off the back of a pandemic that shut down the entire globe. Why are people who have dealt with, are still dealing with, or have contracted COVID so fixated on something that spreads like wildfire? The same reason we have so many successful zombie shows and movies. We love a good survivor story. The good ones capture something special about us as humans. That's our relentless resolve and die-hard determination to survive whatever life throws at us. When we see it in other people, it draws us. We find it alluring and indeed admirable. Some of us may even desire this. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos.